Volvo's on a bit of a roll these days, and its latest cars like the XC90 SUV and the S90 sedan have really taken the game forward. And we now have this SUV, the Volvo XC60. Now this isn't a 7-seater but a smaller 5-seater, and it goes head-on with the Audi Q5, the BMW X3 and the Mercedes GLC. Can it give the Germans something to worry about? Well, it certainly looks the part. The new Volvo XC60 is longer, wider and lower than the model it replaces. It's not very imposing but does look chunky and attractive nonetheless. The elegant design is unquestionably new age Volvo, and the headlights with the Thor hammer LED signature are similar to the 90 series Volvos. At the rear, however, the new XC60 has unique L-shaped taillights which set it apart. India will get the top spec inscription trim that comes with an extra dose of chrome. The car I'm driving has 20-inch alloys, but for India 19-inch alloy wheels will be offered as standard. Now the door doesn't open wide enough, so the narrow opening does make getting in and out a little inconvenient. But once I'm here in the backseat of the XC60, everything is just spot on. The seats are superbly comfortable, great under thigh support, great lower back support, very well bolstered. The only one short change is the middle passenger, because really there isn't enough space over here, and also the transmission tunnel does come in the way. But I think what's really blown me away is the level of quality in this cabin. All the materials, the plastics, the fabrics, all the finishes, really top class. This is easily the best cabin in its class and really blows away its rivals. Trimmed in Napa leather and fine wood, and with those lovely knurled dials, the cabin looks and feels really plush. Again, the centerpiece of the smart dashboard is the 9-inch portrait-oriented touchscreen. You sit at a nice enough height and visibility is good, but you won't find yourself towering over other cars. In true Volvo fashion, the sculpted front seats offer exemplary comfort. Now let's see what it's like to drive. Now the XC60, it's been launched internationally with multiple engine options, but in India we will be initially getting only the 2-liter D5 diesel. Now in D5 spec it produces 235 horsepower, and that is pretty impressive. Now think about it, the XC90 uses the same engine, but that's around 200 kilos heavier. So power to weight ratio in the XC60 really terrific. In fact, it competes really well with its rivals as well, the X3 and the GLC. And you can feel it. Performance is really effortless. It's so smooth. It just wafts you to speed very, very quickly. It doesn't quite have that punchy mid-range of a BMW motor, but this car is really more about effortless cruising, effortless performance, and the XC60 really delivers on all those fronts. And the good thing is that this motor comes with Volvo's innovative power pulse technology. Volvo has done a lot to reduce noise levels of this diesel engine, and that's immediately obvious. This 2-liter engine is incredibly refined as well, very, very quiet, doesn't quite have that smoothness of a 6-cylinder, but overall noise levels are really incredibly low. And even just cruising at around 2,500 RPM, there's barely a murmur from under the hood. So here I am in the Spanish countryside, and these beautiful mountain roads are an absolute delight to drive on. Now, to be honest, the XC60 hasn't really been designed for these twisty bits, but what I can tell you that there's a certain reassurance this car gives, a certain confidence you get from it. The car is a little softly sprung. Even in dynamic mode, it's not quite stiff enough, and it does tend to roll a fair bit. So it's not as engaging or entertaining to drive as an X3 for sure. So the XC60's handling, well, it isn't particularly sporty or sharp. It doesn't like to really dart into corners, but the upside is fantastic ride quality. In fact, I think the ride on this car is by far the best in class. And you just feel like you're just riding on a cushion of air. In fact, you are, because this car gets air suspension, and air suspension is going to be standard on the XC60 in India, because Volvo are going to launch this model in only the top-end inscription version, which comes with all the bells and whistles. And feature-packed is what the Volvo is. Just look at that list of features, which is far more than what the competition offers. And as you can see, there's a special focus on safety. The coolest feature though is the pilot assist. So I've got the pilot assist switched on in the XC60, and it's quite amazing because not only am I driving with my feet off, but technically I can even drive with my hands off. But I'm not doing that because it's not recommended. But I can feel the steering lightly pulling and keeping me in the lane. As the road curves, the steering also gently flows with it. It is quite disconcerting, but it really works. It's as if the steering has a mind of its own. Really amazing. But this is the technology. This is the way driver assistance is going now. I mean, just look at this. Just look at the way it's keeping the lane. Frankly, I'm taking my hands off for a moment. Shouldn't be doing that, but yeah, there you go. It really does manage to just keep the lane. So we've had feet off with cruise control, hands off with these driver assist system, and who knows, in the future with fully autonomous driving, you could drive with your eyes off the road. Volvo hasn't confirmed the launch date for the XC60 in India, but we expect it to arrive in showrooms around Diwali this year in time for the festive season. And what about pricing? It's fair to assume that like other Volvos, this one will be priced very competitively as well. And for this fully loaded version, expected to cost in the region of 55 lakh rupees. So what's it like after a long day in the XC60? In a word, brilliant. What I like is the honesty with which it goes about its business. It doesn't pretend to be a sporty or involving car to drive, which it isn't. This car is all about comfort and safety. And Volvo is proudly tom-tomming its best-in-class features. But they forgot to mention the most important safety device for India. But don't worry, it's right here.